I'm Dave First. The name of this series is called The Driven, and amongst all the drivers that competed in the INDY NXT by Firestone Championship this year, this guy was certainly the most driven, or at least turns out that way, winning the championship. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
The numbers are staggering. 5 wins this year, 8 podiums, 11 top fives. You made it look easy, although I know it wasn't, right?
No, it was definitely not easy. You know, the way that INDY NXT has developed through the years, it's become a very, very good field of drivers. Like, the talent in the field is super deep, which doesn't make my life easy in any way. But it's amazing. I think I love to see that development. That's really what you want to develop as a driver and get ready for the big series.
When you're in the moment, clinching obviously at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, certainly there's a championship, it's a celebration, everything's happening, but then you kind of step aside maybe a week or so later and you maybe realize the magnitude of the accomplishment. What has happened to you since winning the championship?
No, like you say, you kind of get to reflect a little more on the championship and what that actually means for your career. I've been able to progress my career because of these end of the year scholarships, and I have kind of, you know, won my way through the ranks. And my career wouldn't simply exist if it weren't for that. You know, I wouldn't have been in USF Pro 2000 in 2021 if I wouldn't have won the USF 2000 scholarship in 2020. And the same way, if I wouldn't have won USF Pro 2000, I wouldn't have been in INDY NXT in last year. So I've really been able to progress my career and get to where I am today because I have been winning these championships, and that has really created the opportunity for me to move forward.
In many ways, it's every season's been a job interview. You know, because if you don't succeed, that's it. It's game over, and you got to go find a real job for a living, right? It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy by any means, and you know, I think my season with Andretti Autosport last year was kind of a good learning experience for me. I knew obviously that if I didn't win that year, I might be out of a job and might not be able to progress my racing career, which, you know, whenever we got behind to start with, that kind of made me go into a mode of, you know, overdriving a little bit, trying to make things happen that might not be able to happen. So I think we took great experiences from that year, applied them all to this year, being more consistent and taking the result that was able to happen on the day. And that's really what got us the championship this year.
I want to ask you about being a pioneer, if you will. First Danish driver to win in the INDY NXT by Firestone Championship. Do you feel a bit like a pioneer? I mean, you show up and Christian Lundgaard's waiting for you to celebrate the championship, right, at Monterey? Yeah,
a little bit. My whole story coming from Denmark is a little bit different from every other Danish race car driver. You know, in Europe, for a lot of young drivers, the dream is to get into a Formula One and kind of pursue the European ladder system that goes towards Formula One. But we realized early on that that was probably going to be a very high task for us and probably not going to be able to happen because we didn't have the budget to support that. So we looked elsewhere and found the US where the scholarship system was available and saw that as a great opportunity to progress my career without having to use you know, a lot of money for each year and, you know, to top off those budgets. So, you know, I guess you could call me a little bit of a pioneer in that sense. I hope that I can open the door for many other young drivers that are trying to, you know, make a career in racing, but maybe not have the necessary funds to make it elsewhere in the world. So I think the US is a great opportunity for that. It creates some opportunity for us drivers that don't have that backing, and I think it's amazing, and I'm just happy that, you know, I could make it work and show everyone that it can work.
So tell me about growing up overseas. What got you started into racing? What was the thing, like, oh, this is going to be something I want to do?
So my dad owns a car dealership. So when growing up, you know, it was always Hot Wheels and small cars and stuff that was the interesting stuff to play with. So then the karting part came very natural to me. My older cousins actually started racing. They were 2 and 4 years older than me, and then, you know, whenever they start racing, then little me thought, you know what, that could be super fun. So my dad took me to the local indoor karting track, and just been a snowball effect from there.
Did you think it could be a career? I mean, obviously kids, that's kind of a lofty goal at that point in your life, but you were just having fun, right? But maybe one thing led to another, like, oh, this, you know, wait a minute, you can make a living doing this, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't think you have a, like, I started racing when I was 5 years old, so I don't think, you know, your long-term career is such a thought.
You're not thinking 30 years down the road?
No, not at all. But then again, you know, when you move through the karting ranks and you get into race cars and stuff, and you realize that, okay, I'm actually pretty good at this, then you start to realize that that might be a possibility, and that's really been what we've been working towards.
Yeah, and the journey's not over by any means, but you've proven, and that's got to be, you know, you got to rest easy at night knowing what you've had in front of you, you've accomplished. You've checked boxes along the way, and that's got to be a huge thing.
It is a huge thing, and I think I'm doing everything I need to do at the stage in my career that I am now to, you know, create a good opportunity for me and for my future. So I'm doing everything I can, everything I'm supposed to do to make it into the big series, and that's obviously the goal and what we're planning to do.
You didn't discriminate this year, you won on everything. What makes you so good on oval, street circuits, road courses?
Yeah, I think it's super important to be able to, you know, do all the different stuff here in the US.
Yeah.
Obviously coming from Europe, that the ovals was new to me, but I've had some great teachers along the way. I was part of Jay Howard Driver Development for a long time, so obviously had huge help from Jay. Luis D'Agostino kind of introduced me to the ovals a little bit to start with, as from an engineering standpoint. Helped out massively, and I've just had some great mentors along the way that have kind of helped me gotten up to speed on that part. And then, you know, I've been racing on oval since 2019, so I have a few years of experience now, and you know that just comes down to the speed that we have shown this year.
Yeah, first year with Firestone in this series, returning anyway. How did that help your level of confidence going out on the racetrack each and every week?
No, I think it was awesome to have Firestone as a tire manufacturer for the series. I think it helped out a lot in terms of it kind of evened the playing field a little bit. You know, every team goes into the series knowing that it's a new tire and know that they have to adapt to that.
Those old notes were gone, right? So.
Old notes were gone, and like you kind of have to figure it out on your own. So I think huge credit to the team for figuring that out and you know, getting us dialed in from the start, you know, and we've been doing a great job at figuring it out all year. Obviously we've had a lot of data with 9 cars on the team all year, but it just comes down to their work ethic and their dedication to the sport.
I don't know about from your perspective, but from ours, going into each and every race weekend, chances were there was a track record going to be broken. That's how much grip you guys had.
Yeah, we have, I think I've gotten two lap record this year, and at Laguna, obviously, with both the tire and the resurface, it was pretty amazing to see how fast we would go. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to drive all year. Been loved doing it. Being the first INDY NXT by Firestone champion is definitely a huge thing for the old CV, but yeah, no, I'm excited for it.
And there's that symmetry too, knowing when you go up to the NTT INDYCAR Series, Firestone's the partner as well. So a lot of faces you saw this year, you're going to see again next year and for years to come.
For sure, and just, you know, getting that experience on the Firestone tire, that even though it might not be one-to-one the same, it's going to be similar. So just having that experience that I can draw on from this year and bring into next year would be great.
I want to go through some of the battles real quickly this year. The red flag at Barber, how nerve-wracking was that?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking for sure. But you know, I think I just kind of, you know, relied on the experience that I have in racing. You know, I've been racing since I was 5 years old, so it's not the first time I've had a red flag during a race. And Barber in particular, I knew we were quick. I know it's very hard to pass around Barber, so I think if I didn't make any mistakes, I should be good. So obviously, it's the last thing you want as a race car driver is a restart whenever you're leading. But you know, we make it happen, and we did a good job.
You did a great job. The off you had at Road America, what did you learn about that particular situation?
Yeah, the off at Road America was unfortunate. We had early in the race trying to, you know, I started a little bit deeper in the field. We had some issues in qualifying. We didn't, you know, qualify up front, and you know, whenever you want to move forward, you have to do that earlier in the race to make stuff happen.
Yeah.
So I tried for an overtake, didn't go my way, damaged the tire a little bit, and then the tire ended up not holding through the fastest.
You got to keep pushing though.
You know,
that's the thing.
All you can do. I just tried to nurse it back to to the finish line, but that didn't happen, and we had to retire from the race, unfortunately.
Iowa was incredible. That battle with you and Jacob, was it as fun in person?
It was super fun. I loved Iowa. I love racing on the ovals. I think it just brings a totally different strategy game to the races.
Which is interesting because a couple of years ago you probably would have said, "No, I'm good. I don't need to be on an oval." But now you love it, right?
Yeah, no, actually, from the very beginning on when I got on the ovals, I've actually really enjoyed it.
You've taken to it, yeah.
I've really taken to it. Really enjoyed. I really loved that strategy part that it has to it, and I think that really was what we saw at Iowa. I wasn't. If you look at ultimate lap time, I wasn't very much quicker than all of the other cars on the track, but we were just awesome in traffic and awesome at navigating through traffic. So whenever people would get stuck behind traffic, I would just go high and go right around the outside. And that's when you saw that big gap that I had in the race come from.
Yeah.
But then towards the end, we had a restart, and obviously bunched everyone back together, and you know, got a little tight at the end for sure, but managed to get over the line first.
It was a tremendous, arguably the race of the year. It was so much fun to watch. And finally just holding off Hunter McElrea for the championship, because Hunter was coming on strong there at the end. Not easy to do, but certainly an accomplishment. You're going to beat anybody out there. Hunter's the guy, right?
Yes, and I knew that from the start, that Hunter was most likely gonna be my main rival this year. And even though it didn't look as it to start the championship, you know, you had a few.
He had a slow start to the season.
Slow start this season, and you had a few young guys in Nolan Siegel and stuff like that came on strong to start of the season. But I always had my eye on Hunter. You know, I've been racing Hunter for many years now. I know to, you know, never count him out. He's always gonna bring something, and yeah, just focusing on that through the year, and I ended up being right about my assessment to start the year. So it was great. I think when I look back at that battle with Hunter this year, I think St. Louis was super important. Started on pole, got up to some lap traffic. Hunter got by me, but managed to get back by him and win the race from there. I think, you know, that was really not a turning point because I was leading at the time, but that's whenever the championship kind of funnels down and everything becomes a little more serious. So I think, you know, to put points on him instead of losing points to him that weekend was super important to kind of set the tone for the rest of the championship.
Last couple of things. Where does winning this championship rank in your career?
It's number one.
Is it?
It's definitely number one. You know, it's on the other side, it's also equally as important as the championship that I have won in the past, you know, because this is what gets me to the next level. And at the time that I won the USF 2000 championship, that was what, you know, got me to the next level.
Yeah.
So in a way, obviously this is the biggest accomplishment in terms of the highest racing series that I have won. But on the other side, it means just as much for my future as the previous championships has meant.
And there's opportunities on the way, and knock on wood, who knows? We're taping this at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the oval didn't look. You love ovals, so you know.
It is pretty amazing. Just, you know, looking out here and looking at all the empty grandstands, that to think about that I might be running the Indianapolis 500 next year. It's a surreal thought. You know, I came over here in 2018, and I remember my first experience here was watching Jay Howard race here. I didn't grow up on INDYCAR. Obviously, being from Europe, INDYCAR is a little bit of an unknown, so I've really taken to INDYCAR since I came to the US. And then you kind of start to learn and start to appreciate this place in particular, and just the series as a whole. Yeah, wild feeling.
Countdown's on. The Driven, right here, Christian Rasmussen. Thank you.
Have a great off season.
Thank you.